Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to talk about the season premiere of This Is Us. Now, I don't know if you guys watch television and live tweet at the same time, but when I tell y'all Twitter was on fire about this season premiere, like we were so confused as to what was going on. And so you guys know in previous seasons of This Is Us, it usually starts out with an older scene that has Jack in it, and then we learn, different things about the characters, to help us understand how they got to where they are today. Well, once Jack, was revealed, I think it took them 2 seasons to finally let us know how Jack actually passed away. And so, after that was revealed, then people were like, okay, well, what's next? What's going to happen next? Like, I think they lost a lot of viewers, after Jack's death was revealed. And then they gained some new, new viewers over season 3. And with season 3, if you guys just watch my recap of the season premiere of 911, I talked about how I just couldn't get into the season, and so I may be missing a few things. Was sort of the same way with This Is Us. I love This Is Us. And in a moment of transparency, I'm just going to be honest and say, when they introduced the part about the daughter, the oldest daughter, saying that she's gay or whatever, it kind of like turned me off, because it's like every black show that comes out now has to have at least this one black character. And so we're like, okay, then now it seems to be this transition into making younger characters, come out as being gay. And I don't know if the same thing happens on predominantly white TV shows, but I see it a lot on black TV shows. And so I was just like, okay, so now we got to introduce this. Why, what does this have anything to do with, Jack and the, it just wasn't, I don't know how to put it. It just wasn't in line with what the show was about. And then once shows start trying to hit on, serious topics that are going on, in today's society, and it seems to always be the black shows or the black characters where every social issue has to be addressed on the shows. And so I was like, okay, they're taking the focus away from what I enjoyed about the show. And so I kind of backed off. But towards the end of the season, I started back watching again because I was really missing the show, because I do love this show. And then all that drama with Beth and Randall, I was sitting there thinking, Beth and Randall, I don't know how long This Is Us is slated to last, but they could definitely do a spinoff on Beth and Randall's storyline, and it could be like the Cosby Show 2.0. I would love to see that. And if you follow me on Twitter, I'm constantly posting like, can we get a spinoff? Can we get a spinoff? Let me know in the comments what you think about a Beth and Randall spinoff. I just don't see the other characters as being strong enough, or their dynamics being strong enough to handle a spinoff, but I can definitely see that with Beth and Randall and their whole family structure. And so, like I said, started tuning back in towards the end of last season, was prepared that I'm in there for this season. I'm going to do this. I'm going to follow it through. And so we get the season premiere, and it is all over the place. Nobody knows who all these random people are. We get these little snippets of Beth and Randall, little snippet of Kate, and her baby, and Kate's husband, Toby, and then we get a little snippet of Kevin, and then we get past Jack and Rebecca, and they're basically covering when Jake goes to, and they're covering when Jake goes to meet Rebecca's family for the first time, and how, you know, they were kind of snobbish and looking down on him. And then Jake eventually just comes out and says, you know, I love your daughter, I ain't going nowhere. You better learn to deal with it. I've been to Vietnam. I've dealt with some things. You know, I'm the product of an alcoholic, abusive father. You know, like, this is who I am. You know, my brother was killed in Vietnam. This is us. You know, take it or leave it. But Beth is going to be with me. She's going to be my wife. And so they pretty much have to deal with it. So that was okay, because we you know, knew about that, and we live for these past scenes so we can learn more about Jake and Rebecca and how they met. Well, then we have these scenes. I think Nicky might have been, remember Jake's brother Nicky, he's going to become a part of the cast, and we're going to learn more about Nicky. So they kept going to what I thought was Vietnam, and so there was this lady, and so we get to focus on her, and she returns home from the military, and it might not have been Vietnam, it might have been over in Iraq somewhere, because it was like after the show I started thinking about things, and I said, you know, that they were playing with the cinematography to get us to think like, oh, this may have happened in this era, or this may have happened in that era, and we just all hella confused. And I think that's what they were setting us up for to begin with. So this character's name is Cassidy. And so we see her returning home from the military. I think she's dealing with PTSD or just some anger issues. She's not really fitting in. She has a daughter named Maddie, and she's married. And so we get the tension between her and her husband. And then she finally snaps one day, and she hits the daughter, and then the husband tells her to leave. So we don't know where Cassidy is going to fit in the show, or where they're going with that part. And then the other part, oh, and then Cassidy is played by actress Jennifer Morrison. Then we had another scenario going on where there was this little black boy who's played by Asante Black, and I think he was in the movie When They See Us, or something like that, about the Central Park 5. I think that's the movie he may be well known for. But anyway, he's a teenager who's raising a baby girl. We don't know where the mama is. Omar Epps, you know, Omar Epps, who I adore from Love and Basketball, plays his father. And then the mother, her name, she's played by actress Stephanie Blake. And so when they were showing his scenes, it kind of looked like it was back during the 80s maybe. And there was a scene where he's talking to this guy who owns a auto repair shop where his dad, Omar Epps, works at, but he's having this side conversation, which kind of led me to believe that maybe the man has a side business selling drugs or something, or maybe it was because I was captivated into thinking that this was during the 80s. But anyway, the guy told him, you know, because he's Darnell's son, that's Omar Epps' character, because he's Darnell's son, you know, he can't, you know, be dealing with him, which was the other reason I thought it was to deal with drugs, because he was like, no, you're off limits. And so Malik's character, you know, we saw him at the basketball courts. He's hanging out with his friends and everything, and something happened across the street. Once again, I'm just asphyxiated on drugs, okay, because I think it was like a drug exchange took place across the street. And so I'm like, okay, well, who is this little boy and what's going on? So then I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe this is maybe this is Deja's dad, and we're getting the backstory on Deja. Well, child, lo and behold, Malik's friends was having a barbecue. He wanted to go to the barbecue, but he's trying to raise this baby, and he doesn't want to be a burden on his family. So when his dad, Darnell, sees him talking to the owner of the shop, you know, he's like, you know, I want you to have a normal childhood, you know, aside from the fact that you done got somebody pregnant and now we raising this baby. I want you to have a normal life, have friends, be able to do the things that, you know, kids your age does. He says, so I'll babysit the baby. I can't remember the baby name, but I'll babysit the baby so that you can go to the barbecue and hang out with your friends. And so then we have a scene where he's at the barbecue, he's on the grill, and then two girls walk up and he's introduced to one of them. And lo and behold, it's Deja. So we know it ain't Deja's daddy, and that Deja wasn't the baby. So we don't know where the baby mama is, but he was meeting Deja. And so Deja returns home, and Randall looking at her like, you know, why your face looking like that? Because she is obviously smitten by Malik. And Malik, I don't know if I don't know about the casting of Malik. Probably wouldn't have been my selection. But anyway, so Deja is liking Malik. And so I think the premise of this setup is that you remember Randall and Beth, they were in the suburbs, had this nice big house in the suburbs. And so at the end of last season, Beth, you know, compromised because they were having problems. And she said, you know what, let's move, you know, to this area where Randall has been elected as a council person. And so now we got to remember they live in the hood now. They ain't in the suburbs no more. So I think there's going to be this tension with Deja being back in her familiar neighborhood and how she's going to adjust from being in the suburbs and having this, you know, well-to-do family taking care of her and adopting her to now being back in her familiar neighborhood. And, you know, they don't have the money that they had once before because, you know, Randall lost his job and he's not going to be making that much money working on the city council. And then Beth lost her job and she is now running this dance studio that probably isn't as successful right now as she needs it to be. So we're probably focused more on Deja's adopting to the situation than we will on Tess and Annie is the other little girl. Tess and the two daughters that are actually Randall and Beth's kids. So that was the second one. And then the third one was this guy who was in love with this chick. And so I don't know if they had broken up at some point, but when he comes into the scene and he's sitting at the table, the dog is running around. He's trying to feed the dog, and he also has his breakfast on the table, and the dog knocks over the plate and the plate breaks and falls on the floor. And so we eventually learn that he's blind, that his girlfriend he met at a diner. She worked at a diner and she has dreams of becoming a chef, I guess, and owning her own restaurant. And so we're like, okay, what is really going on? And then there was a scene where he eventually glues the broken plate back together and frames it, which is like something Jack would do, you know, the original Jack would do. Well, we later find out that the blind guy is Jack, as in Kate and Toby's baby. Okay, so remember he was born premature and he had some birth defects. So we learn at the end of the show that, you know, he's blind and is irreversible. And so he becomes a famous singer. And so when the show ends, he's actually on stage performing, and he's performing in like a sold out arena, not like a little, you know, hole in the wall performing arts center or something like that. It's like a huge arena with like tens of thousands of people there. And so his character is played by a guy named Blake Stadnick. Not sure who he is. And then the girlfriend, her name is Lucy, and Lucy is played by Auden Thornton. So it's interesting. I mean, it was like we went through the hour totally perplexed, totally confused, and then they revealed everything at the end. And I think that the Cassidy person, even though they didn't reveal who she was, I believe that she'll be connected to Kevin some way. And so they were hinting that Kevin has a son. And so maybe Kevin and Cassidy meet and fall in love and have a child. I don't know. But we'll be waiting to see how Cassidy plays into this. And like I said, they're going to focus more on the brother Nicky coming forward. And so after everything was revealed, I had to laugh because I was like, okay, every season of This Is Us, we are in the past, we're in the present, and we are in the future. But we're so focused on that past, present, and future being about Jack, Rebecca, and the triplets. Well, not the triplets, but the twins and Randall. That we forgot that they were going to do that same, they would probably do that same premise in this season. And where we got tripped up at is that we didn't know who any of these people were. We had no warning that any of these people were coming on the show. And so we were all lost and confused. Oh, and then also I was reading before the season started. I was trying to find out when the season was going to start. And so one thing I know that they're going to do with Kevin's character is that he's going to get another big break. Because remember when the series started, Kevin was an actor in the show called The Nanny, and then he ended up losing his job, you know, after he went off one day during taping. And so he's going to get this other big opportunity that, you know, can restart his career. So looking forward to that. And then it's also going to be interesting to see, because remember in the finale of last season, remember they teased us through the whole season where Tess was going to be older and her and Randall were going to see somebody. We didn't know who that somebody was. And it turned out to be Rebecca. And Rebecca is like in the bed and I guess she's like in the last stages of life. And so I don't know how they're going to, you know, work, you know, just all the back and forth, because now that we've seen Rebecca on her deathbed, what is her role going to be in this season? Like, is she going to be in flashback scenes? Are we going to have current scenes? Like, how is all this going to work? And I know when the show came to an end and they revealed that Jack was the blind person, I believe that Rebecca was in that scene, but it was also back when they were still at the hospital and the baby hadn't came home from the hospital. So that was more of a flashback scene also. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the season plays out, but I am here for it. I think it is going to be good. So let me know, did you watch the season premiere? Were you as lost and confused as the rest of us were with the season premiere? Leave your comments below. Leave the comments below and let me know what you think about each one of these new characters and the direction of the show. Rate the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.